One of the biggest mysteries in Dragon Ball history is the ending of GT. Over the years, fans have speculated whether or not Goku was actually dead and was a ghost. And to dive deeper into this theory, alrighty guys, it is Quaman here today bringing you another episode of Dragon Ball Theory. And this time I will be making an argument as to whether or not we should accept or reject the theory that Goku was dead. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. So let's start off with the statement phase. It is believed that Goku was dead at the end of Dragon Ball GT based off of a variety of clues that were hinted in the final episode. So let's talk about some supporting details. One thing we should mention is that Goku kept consistently disappearing in a lot of the final scenes that he was in Dragon Ball GT. Also, a lot of the characters kept asking Goku, "Are you?" as if they were asking him if he was dead, implying that. And another thing that's extremely important to this matter is the fact that there were two sets of Goku's clothes, and the episode went out of its way to pretty much prove that Pan had a physical copy of Goku's clothes, while Goku also had a copy of his own clothes when he went on Shenron. Also, when Goku was speaking to Shenron after Shenron pretty much explained that he needed to take the Dragon Balls away from Earth, Goku spoke to Shenron as if he knew exactly what was going to happen, as if it was somehow planned between both him and Shenron before, and Goku tells Vegeta that it was a secret after Vegeta asked Goku, "Are you?" So this is something very interesting here. And the last major supporting detail was the fact that Goku was a young man, or at least appeared to be a young man at the end of Dragon Ball GT, while Pan was an old woman. And keep in mind that before the time skip, both Goku and Pan were kids. So let's talk about some of the contradictions that imply that Goku should have been alive, or at least not dead. The first thing is that Goku didn't have a halo. The next thing is that Shenron apparently revived Goku back to life, and we can get this for sure because Shenron's eyes glowed when he was pretty much healing Goku, or at least it seemed that he was healing Goku. And the last piece of contradictive evidence would have to be when Goku was visiting Piccolo in Hell. Goku told Piccolo, as long as he lives, he will always remember Piccolo. So he's clearly stating himself as alive. So for our reasoning step, let's argue against some supporting points. The first one is the fact that Goku is disappearing. For the contradictions, there is no argument to validate how Goku could be alive, yet he kept disappearing as he was going through various areas in the world as a ghost would, and we saw him literally disappear in the blink of an eye just like a phantom would do. The next thing we should talk about is how the characters kept asking Goku, "Are you?" So, for all sakes and purposes, the contradiction actually has a defensive mechanism here, because it wasn't flat out stated what they were meaning when they say, "Are you?" even though it was implied. Now, let's use clothes as our next argument. But the episode went out of its way to pretty much prove, as Pan was shocked to see his clothes and Vegeta told Pan to keep the clothes, that Goku obviously had a separate pair of clothes from what Pan would have been holding, and that clearly indicates that there are definitely two different things going on here, implying that Goku was pretty much dead and kept his dead clothes, while Pan actually had the physical copy that was left over. So the next supporting point to argue against is the fact that Goku was shown at the end of GT as an adult. Toriyama has said before that Saiyans live around the same age as humans, and at some point they actually age a lot faster than humans do. And considering the fact that at this point Pan was an old woman who also has some Saiyan DNA in her, that clearly means that at this point Goku should have been an old man himself. And the fact that if you look at a hero's legacy, we see Goku as like a faded ghost in the end, this clearly implies that Goku, at least at the very end of GT, was dead. However, the contradiction does win when you look at the fact that Goku is clearly trying to keep a secret with Vegeta. The reason being is that it was never clearly stated that Goku was actually dead, which means that Goku could have been referring to anything instead of training or just being dead himself. So let's try to argue against a lot of the contradictions points. So let's talk about the fact that Goku doesn't have a halo. Goku never went to the afterlife, and if he is dead in this situation, he could just be a spirit. Also, keep in mind that not all dead beings in Dragon Ball GT have halos, as seen with Piccolo in the afterlife when he went to Hell. It only applies to people who either go to heaven or the other realms of the afterlife, as we saw in Dragon Ball Z when Goku was fighting in the Otherworld tournament. In this case, however, Goku never went to either, he just left with Shenron. However, Black and Fist did a similar topic to this video, and he theorizes that the show writers may have thought that putting a halo on Goku would have made it way too obvious that Goku was dead, and it would have taken away a lot of the mystery of this episode. And in terms of the reviving point, I definitely do think the support cannot argue against the fact that it did seem like Shenron did revive Goku back to life, as we saw Shenron glowing his eyes just like how he was glowing his eyes when he was pretty much reviving everybody who had died on Earth back to life. So I definitely do think that the support can't argue against the fact that Shenron definitely made it seem like he did bring Goku back to life at that point, at least it seemed. So, another thing to argue against the contradiction is the fact that when Goku met Piccolo, he told him as long as he lives, he will never forget him. I think that you can kind of interpret this a little bit differently from what Goku means. What it seems like Goku is saying is that as long as I exist, I will never forget you. And the reason why is because it doesn't necessarily have to apply with being alive in the living world. What Goku is pretty much meaning is that he will never forget Piccolo, period. Because think about it, when Goku was dead in the Buu saga, Goku still had a memory of every single person and everything that he pretty much did in his life. It's not like he forgot all of his friends because he died. Even though he was dead, he still remembered his friends in his living life. And I definitely think that that's something that you can use to interpret what Goku meant. So I think the key debate here out of both rebuttals would have to be the fact that there is absolutely no way to argue after how much time has passed that Goku would still be alive, even if he is a Saiyan, that he would look the exact same way he did as an adult unless he was either dead or died at some point in time. And evidence clearly says that he was definitely dead by the end of GT, because that's the only logical way to explain how he was shown as a faded ghost and how he was also able to look the exact same way. This supports that Goku must have been dead, because if Goku was alive at the end of GT and lived a full life, he would be dead as an old man and not as a fresh adult. It's as if Goku merging with the Dragon Balls somehow reversed the effects of being a kid and kept him as an adult. But that's just my interpretation. So the only arguments that the contradiction really has to stand on is the fact that GT didn't flat out say and confirm that Goku was dead, even though most evidence pretty much suggested he was dead through all of the implications. But you can also look at this in hindsight and say that it was also never clearly stated that Goku was alive either, except for the whole thing that he told Piccolo in the afterlife, which I already discussed can be misinterpreted. However, the one argument, as I said before, that we have to stand on is that after Goku used the Spirit Bomb, it did definitely appear that Shenron did revive Goku back to life along with all of the other civilians who died, as we see Shenron's eyes glow. But then again, we don't know the true extent to what Shenron truly did. So to move on to the validation step, with everything taken into account, the evidence is overwhelmingly supporting the fact that Goku is a ghost. It is easy to counter all of the contradiction arguments, but there really isn't anything to argue against all of the support, except for the fact that all of the support is an implication instead of a flat out statement. Even if you look at the English dub implies that Goku may have left to go train, but we have to use the original dub as that's what the original intent was to be. And even the English dub itself implied that Goku was dead, as both the Japanese and the English dub cannot explain how Goku was young so many years later with no changes. Either way, this theory is definitely accepted under all circumstances. So guys, that has been my video for today. Overall, I think that we can all agree that at the end of GT, along with the hero's legacy, that it seems as if a ghost Goku came to give the Earth a final look to see if it was in good hands, as we see Goku and Vegeta Jr. fighting to confirm this. I'd like to thank Jaxblade for once again helping me out with this fan theory, and a link to his channel will be right here along with the description. So with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe, and remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.